Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju ki jai. Nitya Lila Pravisham Vishnupara Shrutarashita Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Shri Gurudev ki jai. Nitya Lila Pravisham Vishnupara Shrutarashita Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitya Lila Pravisham Vishnupara Shrutarashita Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupara Shatara Shatashmar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupara Shatara Shatashmar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Nitya Lila Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Shila Gaur Kishoras Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Nitya Lila Pravishta Shila Satchirananda Bhakti Vinod Ṭhākura ki jai. Nitya Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Padadas Raghunath Sharda Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai. नामचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल ब्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय. सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदात गिरिराज महाराज की जय. श्री राधा कुंज श्याम कुनि मुनगंगा तुलसी भक्ति देवी की जय. श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. श्री रामानुजाचार्य की जय. तदीय शुभ तिरुभाव तिथि की जय. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. श्री विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर की जय. Sārārtha-darśinī वृत्ति की जय. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः. नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय राधिकाय प्रियात्मने श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्त नारायणीति नामिने. नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने. वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः. गुरवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तरभक्ताय नमो नमः. यं प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुस्तं सार्वभूत हृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. शृण्वतं स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन हृदन्तस्तो यभद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सतम्. नष्टप्रयेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टकी. तवैवास्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना इति विज्ञाय राधे त्वां नायमं चरणान्तिकम्. भक्त्या विहीना अपराधलक्षाय क्षिप्ताष्टकामादितरङ्गमध्ये कृपामयि त्वां शरणं प्रपन्ना वृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दम्. भज श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna, Gargraj ji, Indira Mata ji, Mitra Vrinda Didi, Raseshwari Mataji, and Bhavatarani Mataji. Dandavat pranams to all of you. So today we are reading, actually first let's go over Sudama. Friendship of the poorest with the richest. Lord Krishna had a Brahmin friend named Sudama, with whom he had lived at the home of his guru Sandipani Muni. Sudama was poverty-stricken and maintained his family with whatever came of its own accord. One day, Sudama's wife asked him to visit his friend Krishna in Dwarka and beg for some charity. Sudama was reluctant, but finally agreed. He finally agreed when his wife persisted. Sudama's wife begged a few handfuls of flattened rice as a gift for Krishna and sent it as an offering with Sudama. When Sudama arrived at Dwarka and approached the palace of Rukmini, Krishna joyfully received him and embraced him with great joy. Krishna made Sudama sit on his own bed, washed his feet, and sprinkled that wash water on his head as a gesture of respect. He worshipped him with incense, lamps, and so on, and gave him many gifts, while Rukmini fanned Sudama, giving him complete honor of a Brahmana. All of this astonished the residents of the palace. Krishna and Sudama recalled their activities in the Gurukul, particularly the incident of their being lost in a storm in the forest when they went to collect firewood. At that time, Krishna and Sudama held each other's hands and focused on their service to Guru. Thereafter, Krishna eagerly asked Sudama if he had brought any gift for him. Poor Sudama was ashamed to offer his gift of begged flat rice. Omniscient Krishna knew the reason for Sudama's visit. He grabbed the bundle of uncooked flat rice that Sudama was hiding and ate a handful of it with great pleasure. When he was about to eat another morsel, Rukmini lovingly stopped him. Sudama spent that night comfortably in Krishna's palace and set off for home the next morning without asking any favor of Krishna. On his way back home, he thought of his good fortune of being so honored by Krishna. When Sudama arrived at his home, he found an opulent palace in the place of his broken-down house. His wife, adorned with celestial jewelry, came out of the palace and lovingly welcomed him. Sudama understood that it was Lord Krishna's mercy, and he entered his new home. Although living amidst the lavish comforts, Sudama maintained his mood of detachment and constantly chanted the glories of Lord Krishna and eventually entered the spiritual world. Okay, so now we're going to read the solar eclipse. Krishna meeting with all the Vrajvasis and Krishna and Balara. Chapter 82. Krishna and Balaram meets the inhabitants of Vrindavan. Just checking the comments. Shrisha Ataikada Dvaravatyam Vasato Ramakrishnaya Suryo Paragasu Mahan Asit Kalpakshayayata. Shukadev Goswami said, once, while Balaram and Krishna were living in Dwarka, there occurred a great eclipse of the sun, just as if the end of Lord Brahma's day had come. Sārārtha-darśinī commentary by Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura. In this chapter, there is a meeting of friends at Kurukshetra during the solar eclipse, and Krishna immerses the Vrajvasis in an ocean of prem. The words atha, then, and ekada, on one occasion, are commonly used in Sanskrit literature to introduce a new topic. Here they especially indicate that the reunion of the Yadus and Vrishnis at Kurukshetra is being narrated out of chronological sequence. Srila Sanatana Goswami explains in his Vaishnava Toshani commentary that the events of this chapter occur after Balaram's visit to Vraj, after chapter 65, and before Maharaj Yudhishthir's Rajasuya sacrifice, before chapter 74. This must be so because at Kurukshetra, Dhritarashtra, Vidura, Yudhishthir, Bhishma, and Drona were still on friendly terms and happy to see Krishna. At the Rajasuya Yagya, on the other hand, Duryodhana became extremely jealous of the Pandavas and afterwards challenged them to a gambling match. By cheating, Duryodhana exiled the Pandavas to the forest. According to the Vana Parva of the Mahabharata, Shalva and Dantavakra were also killed at this time. As soon as the Pandavas returned from exile, the battle of Kurukshetra took place, during which Bhishma and Drona were killed. Thereafter, it is not logically possible for the solar eclipse at Kurukshetra to have happened after the Rajasuya sacrifice. Tam gyatva manuja rajan purustareva sarvata samanta panchakam kshetram yashreyo viditsaya. Knowing of this eclipse in advance, O king, many people went to the holy place known as Samanta Panchaka in order to earn pious credit. Commentary. They went to Kurukshetra because they had heard that one gains pious merit by being there at the time of the solar eclipse. Nikshatriyam mahim kurvam rama shastra bhritam vara nripanam rudiroghena yatra chakre maharhadan ije cha bhagavan ramo yatra sprishto pikarmana lokam sangrahayan isho yatanyo ghapanutaye mahatyam tirtayat yatrayam tatragam bharati praja vrishnayascha Ṭhākura vasudeva hukadaya yayor bharata takshetram swamagham shapayishnava gada pradumna sambhadya sucha shuka saranai aste niruddha rakshayan kritavarma chayutapa. After ridding the earth of kings, Lord Parshuram, the foremost of warriors, created huge lakes from the king's blood at Samantam Panchak. Although he is never tainted by karmic reactions, Lord Parshuram performs sacrifices there to instruct people in general. Thus he acted like an ordinary person trying to free himself of sins. From all parts of Bharatvarsha, a great number of people now came to that Samanta Panchak on pilgrimage. O descendant of Bharata, among those arriving at the holy place were many Vrishnis such as Gada, Pradumna, and Samba, hoping to be relieved of their sins. Akrura, Vasudeva, Ahuka, and other kings also went there. Aniruddha remained in Dwarka with Suchandra, Shuka, and Sarana to guard the city, together with Kritavarma, the commander of their armed forces. Commentary for text 3. This verse indicates the great deeds of Parshuram at Samanta Panchak, which rids one of sin. People came there from all parts of Bharatvarsha. Krishna's grandson, Aniruddha, remained in Dwarka to protect the city because he is Lord Vishnu's original manifestation as the guardian of the spiritual planet Svetadvip. Teratar devadishnya bhair hayaischa taralaplavai gajar nadadbhir abrabhair nribhir vidyadharadyubhi Vyārochanta Mahateja Pati Kanchana Malina Divyasrag Vastra Sannaha Kalatrai Kechara Iva. The mighty Yadavas passed with great majesty along the road. They were attended by their soldiers, who rode on chariots rivaling the airplanes of heaven, on horses moving with a rhythmic gait, and on bellowing elephants as huge as clouds. Also with them were many infantrymen as effulgent as celestial Vidyadharas. The Yadavas were so divinely dressed, being adorned with gold necklaces and flower garlands, and wearing fine armor. They are so divinely dressed that as they proceeded along the road with their wives, they seemed to be demigods flying through the sky. Commentary. Shining like the airplanes of the demigods, the Yadavas' chariots appeared very effulgent while moving in procession. Tatra snatva mahabhaga uposhyasu samahita brahmanebhyo dadurdhenur vasasra grukmamalina. At Samanta Panchak, the saintly Yadavas bathed and then observed a fast with careful attention. Afterward, they presented brahmanas with cows bedecked with garments, flower garlands, and gold necklaces. Ramaharadeshu vidivat punar apluta vrishnaya tadha svanam dvijagrebhya krishne no bhaktirastviti. In accordance with scriptural injunctions, the descendants of Vishnu then bathed once more in Lord Parshuram's lakes and fed first-class brahmanas with sumptuous food. All the while they prayed, "May we be granted devotion to Lord Krishna." Commentary. After the eclipse was over, they bathed again on the following day to complete their fast. Swayam chatar anugyata vrishnaya krishna devata bhuktva pavishishu kaman snigdha chayangrishu. Then, with the permission of Lord Krishna, their sole object of worship, the Vrishnis ate breakfast and sat down at their leisure beneath trees that gave cooling shade. Commentary. They sat down comfortably in the cooling shade under the trees. Tatra gatang sthittadrishu suhrit sambandhino nripan matsyoshi naraka koshalya vidarbha kuru srinjayan kamboja kaikayam madran kuntimanartakeralan anyangshchaivatma pakshiyan parangscha shatasho nripa Nandantin Surido Gopan Gopishchot Kantitashchiram. The Yadavas saw that many of the kings who had arrived were old friends and relatives. The Matsyas, Ushinaras, Koshalyas, Vidarbhas, Kurus, Srinjayas, Kambojas, Kaikayas, Madras, Kuntis, and the kings of Anartha and Kerala. They also saw many of other kings, both allies and adversaries. In addition, my dear King Parikshit, they saw their dear friends Nanda Maharaj and the cowherd men and women, who had been suffering in anxiety for so long. Haribol, Manjari Didi, and Rukmini. Oh, Rukmini back home finally. And Nitai. Haribol Madhavi Didi. Dandavat pranams. Anyonya Sandarshana Harsha Ranghasa Protpulla Hridvaktra Suroruha Shriya Ashlishya Gardam Nayanai Sravajjala Rishyat Tvacho Ruddha Giro Yayurmudan. As the great joy of seeing one another made the lotuses of their hearts and faces bloom with fresh beauty, the men embraced one another enthusiastically. With tears pouring from their eyes, the hair on their bodies standing on end, and their voices choked up, they all felt intense bliss. Striyascha samvikshya miti sohrida smita malapanga drisho bhire stanai stanan kunkuma pankarushitan nihatya dorbhi pranayashulochana. The women glanced at one another with smiles of loving friendship, and when they embraced, their breasts, smeared with saffron paste, pressed against one another as their eyes filled with tears of affection. Tato bivadyate vredan yavishtar abhivadita swagatam kushalam prishtva chakru krishna kathamita. They all then offered obeisances to their elders and received respect in turn from their younger relatives. After inquiring from one another about the comfort of their trip and their well-being, they proceeded to talk about Krishna. I never know what this character is when it comes up. So I'm going to just find out for sure, once and for all. Yeah. So give me 1 second to check on base.io. What is this chapter? It's chapter 2, right? SB. Oops. Or are we on 83? Can't even remember. 1 second. Oh, we're on 82. Oops. Okay. What? Oops. Sorry. Thanks for being so patient. It's just this keeps on. Okay. So every time that sign comes up, it's a ri with a macron over it. Okay, now I know. Pritra bratrin swasrir vikshya tatputran pitaravapi bratri patnir mukundam cha jaho sankataya shucha. Queen Kunti met with her brothers and sisters and their children, and also with her parents, her brothers' wives, and Lord Mukunda. While talking with them, she forgot her sorrow. Kuntuvacha Ayar bhrataraham manye atmanam akritashisham yadva apatsu madvartam nanusmaratapsatama. Queen Kunti said, "My dear respectable brother, I feel that my desires have been frustrated because although all of you are most saintly, you forgot me during my calamities." Commentary. Queen Kunti said, "I think myself void of pious acts, since you are my dear brother, Vasudev. Though so proper in conduct, you did not remember me when I was in difficulty. It was my bad fortune. It was not your fault." Surdo gyataya putra bhratara pitaravapi nanusmaranti svajanam yasya daivam adakshinam. Friends and family members, even children, brothers, and parents, forget a dear one whom Providence no longer favors. Commentary. Kunti did not blame her relatives for her suffering. Thus she addressed them as most saintly persons in verse 18, and here alludes to her own bad fortune as the cause of her unhappiness. Shri Vasudevuvacha Ambamasman asuyeta daiva kredanakam naran ishasya hi vashe loka kurute karyate tava. Shri Vasudev said, "Dear, please do not be angry with us. We are only ordinary men. We are only ordinary men, playthings of fate. Indeed, whether a person acts of his own or is forced by others, he is always under the Supreme Lord's control." Commentary. Vasudeva replied, "O most affectionate one, my dear younger sister, do not find fault in us who are like playthings in the hands of fate. One acts on his own or is made to act under the control of the Lord. Kamsa pratapita sarve vayam yata disham disham etaryeva punarstana daivena sadita swasa." Harassed by Kamsa, we all fled in various directions, but by the grace of Providence, we have now finally been able to return to our homes, my dear sister. Vasudev said, "Tormented by Kamsa, we all fled to various places. This statement refers to other Yadavas who had fled in fear of Kamsa. Vasudeva was imprisoned, so he could not flee. O sister, we have just now returned to our homes. Shri Shuka Uvacha Vasudeva Grasenadyar Yadubhister Chita Nripa Asan Achuta Sandarsha Paramananda Nirvrita. Shukadev Goswami said, Vasudev, Ugrasen, and the other Yadus honored the various kings who became supremely blissful and content upon seeing Lord Achyuta. Bhishmo Dronom Bikaputro Gandhari Sasuta Tatha Sadara Pandava Kunti Sanjayo Vidurapa Kunti Bhoja Viratasha Bhishmako Nagnajin Mahan Purujir Drupada Shalyo Drishtaketu Sakashirat Damagosho Vishalaksho Maithilo Madrake Kayo Yudhamanyu Susharmacha Sasuta Bahlika Daya Rajano Ye Charajan Yudhishthira Manuvrata Sriniketam Vapushore Sastrikam Viksha Vismita. All the royalty present, including Bhishma, Drona, Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, and her sons, the Pandavas and their wives, Kunti, Sanjaya, Vidura, Kripacharya, Kunti Bhoja, Virata, Bhishmaka, the great Nagnajiti, Purujit, Drupada, Shalya, Drishtaketu, Kashiraj, Damagosha, Vishalaksha, Maithila, Madra, Kekaya, Yudhamanyu, Susharma, Bahlika, with his associates and their sons, and the many other kings subservient to Maharaj Yudhishthir. All of them, O best of kings, were simply amazed to see the transcendental form of Lord Krishna, the abode of all opulence and beauty, standing before them with his consorts. Commentary. At this time, Yudhishthir had been given half of the kingdom. Therefore, all these kings are described as being subservient to Maharaj Yudhishthir. Atate Ramakrishna Samyak Prapta Samarhana Prashasangsur Mudayukta Vrishnin Krishna Parigrahan. After Lord Balaram and Lord Krishna had liberally honored them, with great joy and enthusiasm, these kings began to praise the members of the Vrishni clan, Sri Krishna's personal associates. Aho bhoja pateyuyam janma bhajo nrinam iha yat pashyatak sakrit krishnam durdarsham apiyoginam. The king said, O king of the Bhojas, you alone among men have achieved a truly exalted birth, for you continually behold Lord Krishna, who is rarely visible even to great yogis. Yad Vishruti Shruti Nutedam Alang Punati Padavane Janapayascha Vachascha Shastram Bhukala Bharjita Bhaghapi Yarangri Parma Sparshota Shakti Ravivarshati no Kilartam Tadarshanam Tadarshana Sparshananu Pataprajalpa whatever Shayasana Shana Sayona Sampinda Bandha Yesham Grihe Niraya Vartmani Vartar Tatantva Swargapa Varga Virama Swayamasa Vishnu. His fame as broadcast by the Vedas, the water that has washed his feet, and the words he speaks in the form of the revealed scriptures, these thoroughly purify this universe. Although the earth's good fortune was ravaged by time, the touch of his lotus feet has revitalized her, and thus she is raining down on us the fulfillment of all our desires. The same Lord Vishnu, who makes one forget the goals of heaven and liberation, has now entered into marital and blood relationships with you, who otherwise travel on the hellish path of family life. Indeed, in these relationships, you see and touch him directly, walk beside him, converse with him, and together with him lie down to rest, sit at ease, and take your meals. Commentary for text 29. Furthermore, not only do you regularly see Krishna, but due to your piety, you have his constant personal association. This is stated in these two verses. The king said, Sri Krishna, whose fame is praised by the Vedas, thoroughly purifies this universe. Krishna's footwater, the Ganga, and his words contained in the Vedas also purify the universe. Though time has ravaged the fortune of the earth, the touch of Krishna's lotus feet has revived her. Thus, she is raining down upon us to fulfill all our material needs. Text 30. The king said, Krishna, with whom you have relation through marriage and descent, has appeared in your house. Thus, you always get the chance to personally see him, touch him, walk with him, talk with him, sleep, sit, and eat with him. Within the sinless, Krishna creates a distaste for attaining heaven and liberation. The word bandha in sapinda bandha, connections and blood relationships, besides its more obvious meaning of relation, can also be understood in the sense of capture, expressing that the love the Yadus feel for Krishna obliges him always to stay with them. Shri Shuka Uvacha Nandastatra yadun praptan gyatva Krishna purogamam tatra gamar vrito gopar Sārārtha-darśinī. Shukadev Goswami said, when Nanda Maharaj learned that the Yadus had arrived, led by Krishna, he immediately went to see them. The cowherds accompanied him, their various possessions loaded on their wagons. Nanda Maharaj was accompanied by cowherdmen on carts loaded with milk products and other foods, which they intended to feed Krishna and Balaram while living with them at Kurukshetra. Tang drishtva vrishnayo hrishtas tanva pranam ivotitha parisha svajire gadam chira darshanakatara. Seeing Nanda, the Vrishnis were delighted and stood up like dead bodies coming back to life. Having felt much distress at not seeing him for so long, they held him in a tight embrace. Vasudeva parishvajya samprita prema vivala smarankangsa kritan kleshan putra nyasam chagokule. Vasudeva embraced Nanda Maharaj with great joy. Beside himself with ecstatic love, Vasudeva remembered the troubles Kamsa had caused him, forcing him to leave his sons in Gokul for their safety. Krishna Rama Parishvajya Pitarava Bivadya cha na kinchano chatu premna shastru kanto kurudvaha. O hero of the Kurus, Krishna and Balaram embraced their foster parents and bowed down to them, but their throats were so choked up with tears of love that the two lords could say nothing. Commentary. The word Parishvajya implies that Krishna and Balaram were first embraced by their parents, and then they embraced their parents in return. After Nanda and Yashoda released Krishna and Balaram from their loving embrace, the brothers offered obeisances to them. Krishna and Balaram could not say anything because their throats were choked up with tears of love, with premna ashru. One second, just looking at the comments. Oh. Oh, whoops, yeah. Rukmini could have saved me time there. I didn't check the comments. Haribol Prajumna Prabhu, Mantramurti Mataji, Ganga Mataji, and Ladini Shakti Didi and Sudevi Didi. Dandavat pranams, all of you. So, Krishna and Balaram could not say anything because their throats were choked up with tears of love. Tav atma sanamaropya bahubhyam parirabhyacha yashoda cha mahabhaga sutto vijahatu shucha. Raising their children to their laps and holding them in their arms, Nanda and saintly mother Yashoda forgot their sorrow. Commentary. Vasudev led Nanda and Yashoda into his tent as they held the hands of Krishna and Balaram. Following them inside were Rohini and other of Vraj, and a number of attendants. Then what did Nanda and Yashoda do? This verse answers. First Nanda and then Yashoda eagerly welcomed their sons. How was it possible for them to offer their own seats to their sons, who now showed such opulence? This is answered by the word sutto, sons, which implies that Nanda and Yashoda, due to their spontaneous parental love, always thought of Krishna and Balaram as their 8-year-old sons, even though they had heard about and seen their opulences and powers. While sitting with Nanda and Yashoda and being embraced by them, Krishna fully transformed into a cowherd boy. Thus it is stated that Nanda and Yashoda gave up their sorrow and separation. Rohini Devaki Chata Parishvajya Vrajeshwarim Smarantyo Chatkritam Maitrim Bhashpa Kantyo Samuchatu. Then Rohini and Devaki both embraced the Queen of Vraj, remembering the faithful friendship she had shown them. Their throats choking with tears, they addressed her as follows. Commentary. At this time, Vasudev called Nanda outside to meet Ugrasen and the other elder Yadus. Taking this opportunity, Rohini and Devaki talked with Queen Yashoda. Ka vismaret maitrin anivrittam vrajeshwari avapyapyaindram aishwaryam yasya neha pratikriya. Rohini and Devaki said, "What woman would forget the unceasing friendship you and Nanda have shown us, dear Queen of Vraj? There is no way to repay you in this world, even with the wealth of Indra." Commentary. While keeping Krishna and Balaram on her lap and embracing him, Yashoda's mind became completely bewildered and stunned in bliss. Tears and milk poured from her eyes and breasts in continuous streams like the rivers Ganga and Yamuna. Of the two ladies seated before her, Rohini spoke first. "Even if we attain the wealth of Indra, there is no way to repay you for your friendship." The opulence of Dwarka far exceeded that of Indra. But since this expression is for the common man, Rohini only mentioned Indra's wealth. Etavadrishta pitaro yuvayosma Etavadrishta pitaro yuvayosma pitro samprinana bhyudaya poshana palanani prapyo shatur bhavati pakshma yadvadakshnor nyastavakrut kutra cha bhayor nasatam parasva. Before these two boys had ever seen their real parents, you acted as their parents and gave them all affectionate care, training, nourishment, and protection. They were never afraid, good lady, because you protected them, just as eyelids protect the eyes. Indeed, saintly persons like you never discriminate between outsiders and their own kin. My Gurudev talks about this. This is actually a bit of a... Anyways, we'll see the commentary. Before speaking this verse, Devaki thought, "Alas, for so long these two sons of mine had Yashoda as their guardian and mother. Because they were immersed in such a vast ocean of ecstatic loving dealings with her, now that she is here, they do not even look at us, even though we are standing before them. Blinded by her love for Krishna and Balaram, Yashoda is behaving as if insane. She is showing millions of times more motherly affection than I could ever possess. Thus, Yashoda simply keeps staring at us, her friends, without even recognizing us. So let me bring her back to reality on the pretext of some affectionate words." Devaki then spoke in a somewhat loud voice. "Having not seen their real parents, these two boys received great affection from you too as parents. I placed them safely with you and lived there without fear. You protected them just as the eyelids protects the eye, because great devotees do not distinguish between their own or other children." The actual fact, however, is that Krishna and Balaram had not seen their parents for two reasons. What are the two reasons? Because of their exile in Vraj, and also because they are never actually born and therefore have no parents. When Devaki failed to get any response from Yashoda, even after addressing her, Rohini said, "My dear Devaki, it is impossible just now to rouse Yashoda out of this ecstatic trance. We are crying in the wilderness as our two sons are also bound up by the ropes of affection for her. Let us now go out to meet with Kunti, Draupadi, and other friends who are very eager to see us. Because of having to meet with so many people on this pilgrimage, we simply do not have enough time to stay long in only one place." After saying this, Rohini went outside with Devaki. She led Devaki out, otherwise, because she was... Anyways. Oh. Shri Shuka Uvacha Gopyascha Krishnam Gopyascha Krishnam upalabhya chiradabhishtam yat prekshane trishishu pakshma kritam shapanti trigbhirhriti kritamalam parirabhya sarvas tarbhavamapurapi nitya yujam durapam. Shukadev Goswami said, "While gazing at their beloved Krishna, the young gopis used to condemn the creator of their eyelids, which would momentarily block their vision of him. Now, seeing Krishna again after such a long separation, with their eyes they took him into their hearts, and there they embraced him to their full satisfaction. In this way, they became totally absorbed in ecstatic meditation on him, although those who constantly practice mystic yoga find such absorption difficult to achieve." Commentary. Just then, Baladev saw the gopis standing a short distance away. Seeing them trembling with eagerness to meet Krishna and apparently ready to give up their lives as if they could not. And they were ready to give up their lives if they could not. Balaram, the crest jewel of expert gentlemen, tactfully decided to get up and involve himself elsewhere. The gopis then attained the ecstatic state described in this verse. In some editions, Shukadev Goswami is referred to by the phrase Rishi Uvacha. By designating Shukadev as a rishi, as a great sage, there is indication that he will here reveal the highest truth. In the phrase Gopyascha, the word cha, and, carries the meaning of the word tu, but, to distinguish the special position of the gopis from all others. Who were these gopis? In answer to this, their extraordinary quality is then described. The Vraj gopis were the ones who cursed the creator Brahma for making eyelids which obstructed their vision of Krishna. Though as women the gopis ordinarily would have shown the highest respect to any demigod, but under the impulse of ecstatic love, they even cursed the chief of all the demigods. Such was the intolerance of their separation from seeing Krishna. Here Shukadeva Goswami gives vent to his own subtle jealousy of the gopis, to whom Krishna had bestowed such intense feelings of separation. Pulling Krishna toward themselves with their glances, the gopis took him into their hearts through the doorway of their eyes. They wrapped him in a tight embrace, and then attained a rare state of Mahabhav, ecstatic absorption in Krishna. Overwhelmed with a sense of oneness with Krishna, the gopis then made such statements as Krishnoham Pashyata Gatim. I am Krishna, just see how graceful. That was in the 30th chapter, verse 19. Another meaning. The gopis achieved a state that is rarely attained even by the crest jewel of self-satisfied sages and the great masters of yoga such as Shiva. This statement, together with the idea that even though the gopis are of such a status, Krishna will now teach them Adhyatma Gyan himself, as he did in his message sent through Uddhava, is a further expression of Shukadeva Goswami's jealousy. Or else the meaning is, the gopis attained Mahabhav, which is rarely achieved even by the Nitya Yujam, which can refer to Krishna's principal queens in Dwarka like Rukmini, who tend to be proud of their constant association with him. Bhagavangstas tata bhuta vivikta upasangata ashlishya mayam prishtva prahasan idama bravit. The Supreme Lord approached them in a secluded place as they stood in their ecstatic trance. After embracing each of them and inquiring about their well-being, he laughed and spoke as follows. Commentary. Then, getting up from Yashoda's lap, Krishna went to a secluded place to talk and mingle freely with the gopis, who were stunned in ecstasy as described in the previous verse. Krishna expanded himself by his Vibhuti Shakti to embrace each of the gopis individually. Krishna embraced them so tightly that each gopi woke up from her ecstatic trance. He inquired, "Are you now relieved of your pain of separation?" And he laughed to help lighten their spirits. Api smaratana sakya svanamarta chikirshaya katangsh chirayitan chatru pakshaksha panakchetasa. Lord Krishna said, "My dear girlfriends, do you still remember me? It was for my relatives' sake that I stayed away for so long, intent on destroying my enemies." Commentary. Krishna said, For the sake of my such as Vasudev, I went off to kill Kamsa and other demons. Due to being absorbed in vanquishing the armies of the demons, I have been delayed and have not found an opportunity to return to Vraj. Nevertheless, do you still remember me? Apyavadya yatasman swig. No. Akritagya vishankaya. Okay, that's right. Nunam bhutani bhagavan yunakti viyunakti cha. Do you perhaps think I'm ungrateful and thus hold me in contempt? After all, it is the Supreme Lord who brings living beings together and then separates them. Commentary. At this point, gopis were thinking, "We are not like you, who, with your heart shattered by remembering us day and night, gave up all sense enjoyment in your distress of separation. Rather, we have not remembered you at all. In fact, we have been quite happy without you." Seeing that the gopis were answering angrily by moves to suggest the above words, Krishna spoke. "Do you perhaps hold us in contempt because of the suspicion that he is ungrateful? Well, if that is the case, what can I do about this? Please listen to the facts. It is the Supreme Lord who unites and separates all living beings." Hare Krishna Champak Didi and Shash Sharma ji. Vayoryata ganani kam trinam tulam rajangsi cha samyojakshi pate bhuyas tata bhutani bhutakrit. Just as the wind brings together masses of clouds, blades of grass, wisps of cotton, and particles of dust, only to scatter them all again, so the Creator deals with his created beings in a way. Commentary. Krishna cites an analogy to explain his point. Just as the wind unites and separates clouds, grass, dusts, and cotton, the Lord unites and separates all living entities. Mai bhaktir hi bhutam amritatvaya kalpate dishtya yad asinmat sneho bhavati nam marapana. Rendering devotional service to me qualifies any living being for eternal life. But by your good fortune, you have developed a special love toward me, by which you have obtained me. Commentary. The gopis replied, O crest jewel of clever speakers, that Supreme Lord you are blaming is none other than yourself. Everyone in the world knows this. Why should we be ignorant of this fact? But my dear girlfriends, Krishna replied, if this is true, I must be God, but still I am conquered by your loving affection. Thus Krishna speaks this verse. Just by devotion to me, one can achieve liberation. But that you have attained affection is my good fortune, since it causes you to attain me. The hidden meaning of Krishna's words is as follows. Your affection drags me to you. Your affection drags me to you by force. It brings me close to you, and it assures that very soon I will come to remain permanently with you. Aham hi sarva bhutanam adirantontaram bahi bhotikanam yatha kangvar bhurvayur jyotirangana. Dear ladies, I am the beginning and end of all created beings, and exist both within and without them, just as the elements ether, water, air, and fire are the beginning and end of all material objects, and exist both within and without them. Commentary. Krishna said, furthermore, if you know that I am the Supreme Lord, then you should not feel any suffering in separation from me. Your unhappiness must be due to a lack of discrimination. Therefore, please take this instruction from me, which will remove your ignorance. Actually, the truth of the matter is that you gopis were great masters of yoga in your previous lives, and thus you must already know the science of Gyan Yoga. Furthermore, whether I try to teach you personally or through my representatives such as Uddhava, it will not produce the desired result. Jnana Yoga simply causes suffering for those who are fully immersed in pure love of Godhead. With this idea in mind, Krishna speaks this verse. Krishna said, of all beings, namely demigods, humans, and animals, I am the beginning and end. I am present both inside and outside of them, just as the 5 primary elements, earth, water, air, fire, and ether, exist within all bodies, from beginning to end. O young ladies, since you are only women, you do not understand this truth about me. Evam hyetani bhutani atmatmana tata ubhayam mayatha pare tabhatamakshare. In this way, all created beings reside within the basic elements of creation, while the spirit souls pervade the creation, remaining in their own true identity. You should see both of these, the material creation and the self, as manifest within me, the imperishable supreme truth. Commentary. Krishna said, in this way, the material elements such as ether exist in the bodies of all created beings, and the soul pervades the body in his own true form. You should see that the material elements, their products, and the living entities are all manifested within and perverted by me, the imperishable, perfectly complete, they're all pervaded by me, the imperishable, perfectly complete Supreme Soul, and underlying reality of everything. Thus it is established that your bodies and souls exist within me at all times. Therefore, what is the source of your feelings of separation from me? It is simply caused by your lack of discrimination. Shri Shuka Uvacha Adhyatma Shikshaya Gopya Evam Krishnena Shikshita Taranusmaranadvasta Jiva Shastam Adyagam. Shukadev Goswami said, having thus been instructed by Krishna in spiritual matters, the gopis were freed of all tinges of false ego because of their incessant meditation upon him. And with their deepening absorption in him, they came to understand him fully. Commentary. The esoteric meaning of the above 5 verses, verses 42 to 46, is found in Viśvanātha. These instructions on spiritual knowledge enlightens the gopis. The scorching sun of the gopis' incessant meditation on Krishna, arising from their feelings of separation, destroyed the inner essence of their nights blooming, like lotus-like lives. Their nights blooming lotus-like lives, just as a flower is destroyed by excessive sunlight. The only thing that kept the gopis alive was their hope of attaining Krishna. The gopis realized that he who taught us about Dharma at the beginning of the Ras dance, even though we had not inquired about it, and who instructed us on the principles of theoretical knowledge through Uddhava, is now again teaching us philosophical knowledge. We should know that this is Krishna's nature, and it is hard for him to give it up. It is not correct to say that Jiva Koshas means the subtle material body of the gopis, because the eternal associates of Krishna do not have material bodies. It cannot be accepted that even the sadhan-siddha gopis who enjoyed with Krishna had material bodies. Okay, this is the last verse of this chapter. Ahushchate nalina naba, Ahushchate nalina naba padaravindam Yogeshwarar hridi vichintyam agada bodhai Sangsarakuppapatitottaranāvalambam Geham jusham api manasyudiyat sadhana. The gopis spoke thus. Dear Lord, whose navel is just like a lotus flower, your lotus feet are the only shelter for those who have fallen into the deep well of material existence. Your feet are worshipped and meditated upon by great mystic yogis and highly learned philosophers. We wish that these lotus feet may also be awakened within our hearts, although we are only ordinary persons engaged in household affairs. Commentary. The gopi said, implies that these seemingly reverential words were actually spoken by the gopis in the following mood of anger. O Supreme Lord, O directly manifest Supersoul, all crest jewels of teachers and philosophical knowledge, understanding that we have great attachments to house, wealth, and family, you previously had Uddhava instruct us, and now personally you are purifying our hearts with knowledge to destroy that ignorance. Thus we understand that your pure love for us is free from any motivation other than assuring our liberation. But how can we unintelligent cowherd women fix that knowledge in our hearts? We cannot even meditate steadily on your feet, the focus of realization for great souls like Brahma. Therefore, please be merciful to us and do something to make that possible. We are still suffering the reactions of our karma. So how can we meditate on your feet, which are the object of meditation for the masters of yoga? Such yogis are immeasurably wise, but we are mere feeble-minded women. Please do something to get us out of this deep well of suffering in material life. The Gopi's statement, "May your lotus feet arise in the minds of us who are so attached to family life," reveals their hidden anger. The following verses illustrate that pure devotees are never motivated by a desire for material elevation or spiritual liberation. Even if Krishna offers such benedictions, they often refuse to accept them. Na parameshtam, na mahindra dishnyam, na sarvabhaumam, na rasadipatyam, na yoga siddhir apunar bhavam va, mayar pitatme chati mar vinanyat. One who has fixed his consciousness on me desires neither the position or abode of Lord Brahma or Lord Indra, nor an empire on the earth, nor sovereignty in the lower planetary systems, nor the eightfold perfection of yoga, nor liberation from birth and death. Such a person desires me alone. That's from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 11:14-14. Na kinchit sadhavo dhira bhakta hyekantino mama vachantyapi maya dattam kaivalyam apunar bhavam. Because my devotees possess saintly behavior and deep intelligence, they completely dedicate themselves to me and do not desire anything besides me. Indeed, even if I offer them liberation from birth and death, they do not accept it. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 11:20-34. Swarga pavarga narakesh vapitu Ṭhākura. My pure devotees regard heaven and hell as one and the same. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 6:17-28. Okay, almost at the end. Krishna's devotees never accept liberation, which is the result of jnana, even if it is offered by the Supreme Lord himself. How then could the gopis, the crest jewels of all devotees, accept this knowledge? Thus it is appropriate that they express anger in this verse, text 48, upon hearing the unbearable teachings of spiritual knowledge from the mouth of their most beloved. It is clear that such interpretations of this verse, which come through oral tradition, are valid for this scripture, which is full of double meanings. The words the gopis speak in this verse may also be interpreted as follows. O sun, who directly destroys the darkness of ignorance, we are scorched by the heat of this philosophical knowledge. We are Cakravartī birds who live only on the moonlight, radiating from the moon of your beautiful face. Therefore, come back to Vrindavan and bring us to life with your pastimes such as Śrīla. The masters of yoga meditate upon your lotus feet within their hearts, but we hold them above our hearts, upon our breasts. Only by holding them are we able to maintain our lives, and not otherwise. Those with deep intelligence meditate on your feet, but we have shallow intelligence. Therefore, as soon as we start meditating on your lotus feet, we drown in the ocean of swooning. So what is the question of meditating? Furthermore, meditation upon them is the means of upliftment from the well of material existence. But such meditation cannot uplift us who have fallen into an ocean of separation from you. Certainly, we gopis have not fallen in the well of material life, having renounced the happiness of husband, home, and children having renounced the happiness of husband, home, and children from an early age. If Krishna says, "Come to Dwarka and I will enjoy with you there," the gopis reply, "Sri Vrindavan is our home, and we are too attached to it to take up residence anywhere else. It is there alone that you attract us by wearing peacock feathers in your turban and playing enchanting music on your flute. We can be saved only by seeing you in Vraj, and not by any other kind of meditation or theoretical knowledge of the self." Thus ends the commentary on the 82nd chapter of the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, for the pleasure of the devotees in accordance with the previous acharyas. Maybe sometime we can also read my Gurudev's explanation of this chapter, because it's very beautiful. It's in the book, Sri Jagannath Yatra. I don't know though. Oh yeah, so let's see. Today is Ramanujacharya's disappearance day, then tomorrow's Paimi Ekadashi, then Vahadvadashi and Nityananda Trayodashi, then Narottam Thakur's appearance day, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's sannyas day. That's all coming up. Every day is going to be a festival, except for the day after Nityananda Trayodashi. Yeah, so let's see. Maybe I can read it tomorrow. Yeah, maybe tomorrow on Paimi Ekadashi. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Oh no, verses mess up. 45 and 46. Uh-oh. Okay, let's see. What was 45? Okay, I'm just going to read the verses here. 45 and 46, just so that we know what the verses actually said. 45. Here. So it's Aham hi sarvabhutanam adir antontaram pahi bhautikanam yata kangvar bhuvayur jyotirangana. It says, Krishna said, "Dear ladies, I am the beginning and end of all created beings and exist both within and without them, just as the elements ether, water, earth, air, and fire are the beginning and end of all material objects, and exist both within, and I exist both within and without them." And then he says, in this way, all created things reside within the basic elements of creation, while the spirit souls pervade the creation, remaining in their own true identity. You should see both of these, the material creation and the self, as manifest within me, the imperishable supreme truth. Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. I'll do short Jai Dwani because it's late. Jai Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai, Jai Shri Guru Dev Ki Jai, Jai Shri Param Guru Dev Ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai, Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai, Sa Parshad Ji Gaur Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopikan Ki Jai, Shri Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai, Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Ki Jai, Shri Nanda Baba Yashoda Maya Ki Jai, Sarva Vrajadevi Gan Ki Jai, Sarva Vrajavasi Gan Ki Jai, Shri Raseshwari Vishwapanunandini Srimati Radha Ṭhākurani Ki Jai, Shri Krishna Chandra Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Anantakoti Shri Ramanujacharya Ki Jai, Tadiya Shubhatira Bhavtiti Ki Jai, Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Oh man, that's so strange. The reading, the Sanskrit on verse 45 and the purports were misplaced on 45, 46, and 47. Yeah, all got messed up with this edition that I'm reading from, this Kindle edition of Bhanuswami. Lots of times it just gets all mixed up, the purports and the verses. Anyways, what to do? Thanks for mentioning that though, Indira Mataji. Oh yes. Bhavatarani Mataji is asking about the Sudama, the song that she did for Srila Prabhupada. 1 second, let me just find it again. It didn't work last time, but we can see if it will work now. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna try that now. I need to shut this off though, because that's... Okay, let's see. One second, let me just try finding it. Bandcamp. If anyone needs to go, that's totally fine. I just offered with love. Okay, now it's playing. Okay, so yesterday we read about Sudama and Sudama the Brahman and Krishna, and so this is a song that Pavatarani Mataji she wrote for Srila Prabhupada. She sung it in front of Srila Prabhupada, right? So let me just... Yeah, so I'm going to play that now. If anybody wants to listen, they can stay. Otherwise, yeah, I'm going to play it now. Hari Bo Rukmini Didi and Manjari Didi. Okay, so I'm going to play the Sudama song now.
offered with love and devotion to me. A few grains can satisfy all entities. To Krishna, this most humble gift, the Lord will accept it if offered with love. Remembering back into the past, Krishna and Sudama went searching into the forest for firewood, as ordered by the master. There was a devastating storm. They were lost when the sun went down, holding hands, distressed and warm. When by the master they were found, he blessed them for the faithfulness, with perfect knowledge of the Vedas, in this life and the next. After some time he bid farewell, and as he traveled he did recall Krishna practically worshipped me, but he knew one would make me fall. But when he came to where his cottage had been, Sudama saw to his astonishment a dazzling palace from his dear friend, exceeding all of his opulence. From that time on, Sudama and his wife enjoyed great wealth and riches. They led a perfect, blissful life. They used it all for Krishna. Perfect your life, do the same. Serve the Lord, chant his holy name.
Okay. All right, Pavatarini Mataji. That's sorry. I didn't see the. You said that you sent me a YouTube link for a better version of that. Sorry about that. Yeah. Anyways, I can post the link to the better version in the WhatsApp group. But all right, everybody. Jai Shri Radhe. I have to run now. I'm a bit late. But we'll see each other all tomorrow. Jai Shri Radhe.